This is where it gets interesting. This is where, honestly, it gets juicy, man, because there are some great defensive ends that are out here on this list. It was hard for me to pick people at this rate from 5 to 1 just because they're all just multi-talented and they're all extremely different in the way they play. But I had to do it. I had to do it, and I started with Trey Hendrickson at number 5, the sack artist, the man that is just a threat to do anything. He's all over the field. He's a great player for the Bengals. He's become, yeah, he's become just a great pass rushing uh, player in this league and a person that everyone needs to look at on a Sunday because he can get you 3 to 4 sacks, man, for the Bengals. So this is a great person that they got, a great player that they got for what they got. He was just unproven in New Orleans. Yes, he did have a great year before he left, but this was a guy that not many people thought he would come into this and exceed expectation like that. I mean, I didn't really know much about him at all. I saw him in New Orleans one year, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" Um, but he's been balling out since he's been in Cincinnati, and this year it really shown exactly who he is, man. And he's a monster. You're looking at Trey Hendrickson, 29 years old, 7 years in the league, 2 years, $31 million, played 17 games, had 43 tackles, 17 and a half sacks, three forced fumbles, three pass deflections, eight stuffs. Pro Bowl player, yes. Future All Pro, I say yes. Definitely a guy, like I said, you need to pay attention to. Watch him this year. He's phenomenal, great at the bull rush, athletic, and yeah, can really bring it every game. 4, we got one of the most exciting NFL players, exciting defensive ends in the league, Aiden Hutchinson. It could be criminal to put him this low, but I mean, like I said, this DN list is extremely hard to choose from. The reason I put him this low is just because he's still young. He can still get number one. Honestly, he will be the best defensive end, um, sooner rather than later. He's a disruptor. You want to look at a disruptor? That's who he is. He does everything so well from, I mean, sacks, obviously, tackles for losses, pass deflections, run game, run stops, interceptions. He's done interceptions for sure. You know what I mean? And he's fast for a big guy at 6'7". It's crazy. He's a monster. Not who you want to see on Sunday. Detroit made a great pick when he picked him in that draft, and it's paid dividends to have him in this defense, especially with them getting even better every year with that. So Aiden Hutchinson, he's 23 years old, 2 years in the league. 2 years, $9.5 million on his rookie deal. 17 games played, 51 tackles, 11 and a half sacks, three forced fumbles, two fumble recoveries, one interception, seven pass deflections, 7.5 stuffs. Pro Bowler, first team All Pro in the future. You're looking at that. You're looking at NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Yes. So overall, this is a guy that's going to wreak havoc for a while, and it's a guy that you need to pay attention to. Aiden Hutchinson is the man, and he's making Detroit a Super Bowl contender. It's a really good football team, honestly. Three, it's Nick Bosa. Last year, he was the best defensive end in the league. This year, he dropped 2 spots. Um, Now, I could put him at number 2 because the second person that's number 2 uh, hasn't been as dominant as Maxx or Nick Bosa in terms of numbers, in terms of league things. But I mean, yeah, you're looking at this guy, freaking nature, great DN, great defensive player, very important to the Niners, defense and where it goes. And I mean, he's a wreck havoc kind of person. Definitely, you want to see Nick Bosa out there at all times. He's got Defensive Player of the Year written all over him every year. Um, he's a lot better than Joey. But at the same time, Joey did get injured a lot. So, not critiquing Joey Bosa like that dude, really. I think he's been phenomenal. But Nick Bosa, I think at the end of the day, will be better than Joey's career, honestly. Will pan out. So, he's got that for him. He's got being in a great Niner team, great Niner defense. So I'm not trying to disrespect him that much, but at the same time, um, the ability of what he's been able to do has been fantastic. But the ends are hard. There's just a lot of them that are just there, man, that are just ready to dominate the league. Aiden Hutchinson is right on his tail as well, So, but Nick Bosa, I mean, he's still young, man. You're looking at 26 years old, 5 years in the league, 5 years, $137.88 million on the deal. He got paid. 17 games played, 53 tackles. He had 10.5 sacks. He had two forced fumbles, one fumble recovery, four pass deflections, 13.5 stuffs. And in the playoffs against Green Bay, Detroit, and Kansas City, he had 12 tackles, two sacks, and 3.5 stuffs. Horrible not for him. So overall, great numbers for the guy. And yeah, I mean, overall, has been pretty good tone setter. Can definitely jump to a number two, number one spot again. But I mean, just the other two guys, I just firmly believe that uh they're there. They're there right now for a reason. Whether they won Defensive Player of the Year, maybe shouldn't have, but at the same time has done it, has been impactful, or one they've honestly been better than Nick Bosa in the career. So overall, though, he does deserve to be in the countdown. He's number three, so not too shabby. Number two, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett has been a game record definitely this year. Um, and while like I said, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, that's a conversation for another day, right? Like I don't know who do you pick there? Nick Bosa did have more of a down year, but at the same time, you know, uh, he's had him and Myles Garrett have had just you know up and down numbers though. But right now, Myles Garrett just has been that heart of the Browns defense, whereas I think like Nick Bosa has been able to play his way, and um, they have a lot of stars around them, so the pressure is off of him entirely. Whereas Myles Garrett, it felt like they needed a sack from him every single game, and he delivered. He delivered big time for them. Definitely a huge reason why they went in the playoffs in the first place, even with all those injuries at the QB position. They really did have to, you know, they really had to rely on the defense. They had to rely on the run game, and whatnot. Myles Garrett's one of those leaders on that team that came to prove it. And you look at Myles Garrett, 28 years old, 7 years in the league, 3 years, $64.99 million left in the deal. 16 games played, 42 tackles, 14 sacks, forced fumbles, one fumble recovery, three pass deflections, 12 stuffs, and one blocked kick. So cool. Against Houston, he had three tackles and 1.5 stuffs. He was 10th in the MVP voting. He won the Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team All Pro, and he was a Pro Bowler. Overall, great year for him. Solid year for him. Hopefully, he can continue success. Maybe not against AFC North division rivals, but overall, any other team, you can go kill it. But overall, though, he was great, great bull rush, pass rusher, and pretty solid, pretty solid. Pass rusher in football. Maxx Crosby. Last year he was number three. This year he's number one. Um, Maxx Crosby does not get enough credit for what he does, man. Not only is he a sack artist, he's almost in every single play that the Raiders have. He's a game changer in every single play. He's a game changer in every single game. He goes all out every play, and his uh, his pass rusher moves are fantastic. He's been working on his craft for a long time, and it's come together pretty nicely because he really is the number one pass rusher, defensive end in the game, man. Honestly, um, yes, I will probably receive hate for this, but I do believe Maxx Crosby has had a better career than Nick Bosa. I think he's just been better than Nick Bosa. I think he's wreaked more havoc than Nick Bosa, and he's had a lot on his shoulders. He's had to pretty much captain this entire defense, and make critical plays um, in these division games, in these games in general. And I just think that he stepped up to the challenge more. And I do believe that been he's just a better pass rusher with better moves than Nick Bosa. I think Nick Bosa definitely relies on his strength, and Maxx relies on strength, but also his athleticism and his technique. And he needs to have more respect. And that's the respect I'm going to give him. He is the number one defensive end in the league. You're looking at 26 years old, 5 years in the league. Still got many years. 3 years, $68.21 million. 17 games played, 90 tackles, 14 and a half sacks, two forced fumbles, one fumble recovery, two pass deflections, and 16 and a half stuffs. He was fourth in Defensive Player of the Year. He was second team All Pro, and he was a Pro Bowler. He had a great year. He will finish out as a Defensive Player of the Year. In my opinion, I think he should be the favorite to possibly win that award. I think if he continues the way he does next year, you will see him win Defensive Player of the Year. He's just that guy. He's explosive. He's got all the intangibles, and I mean, he's just really fun to watch. So, you ever get to watch a Raider game, watch it for Maxx Crosby. That's all I'm saying.